Huge news in media today as Netflix announces it has reached a deal to acquire parts of Warner Brothers Discovery Studio. The $83 billion deal means the streaming giant will acquire Warner Brothers Film Studio and streaming service HBO. It does not include cable networks like TNT, Discovery, and CNN, which will be spun off into a new company next year, like we just did. Meanwhile, a senior administration official told CNBC that the White House views the deal with, quote, heavy skepticism. I wonder why. The nightcap is still here. Steve, since you won the last segment, I turn to you. Break this deal down. How would it all work?
They're going to give some shares of Netflix over to the stockholders of Warner Brothers, and they're going to spin off some cable stuff. Here's what I think is happening. I think the media business is looking for the Jeff Bezos of media, the guy who will explain how all of this is going to shake out.
No one knows.
And no one knows. And I don't know if this deal is it. Yeah. We're at CNBC and MS Now part of this shakeup that's going on. It feels a little bit to me like they've written down all the names of the cable stations on a piece of paper, put them in a thing, and they're throwing them up, and we're going to see where they all land. I don't know where this all ends up. I don't know that they've rationalized or figured out what happens to these assets and where they should belong. I don't quite understand how HBO, as a great creator of content, sits alongside Netflix as a wonderful creator of content, how those two things work together. David Zaslav's one of the smartest guys I know, and he's super smart about this stuff. Is he the guy that's figured out how the new media is going to look with the streaming and the cable going down? I don't know. This is a piece of it. It might be an iterative process that takes us a couple permutations here.
So can I raise two questions about this? Two really, I think.
Yes, and we're going to make Pablo answer them.
Two concerns.
As a podcaster.
No, number one, you mentioned, that Trump is looking at this, and of course.
With skepticism. Though the president himself has not said anything.
Right.
But many people are wondering, is the White House looking at this with skepticism? Yeah. Because David Ellison, son of Larry Ellison, is looking at this deal, and he obviously has very close ties to the Trump administration.
Well, in the mafia state that we're seeing developing, is it the question that he sits there and goes, yes, this is a huge business deal, but you need to come to me.
It would be a shame if this merger.
It would be a shame if anything happened. So, David, what have you got for me? Yeah. And frankly, that's not that far-fetched. My second major concern is with Netflix becoming this powerful. Are we going to have to watch the new season of Stranger Things on all these different platforms? Because I don't know if you've been following it, but this latest season is just not that great.
I've got a 12-year-old who would disagree.
I'm a little bit concerned. Well, we should talk about that. But again, this Trump thing, like emperor of absolute everything, that we just take that for granted.
So beyond the numbness.
Yeah.
To the question of what deals get to happen and what deals don't, which is obviously a system of
Why numbness,
corruption.
Paulo?
It's an okay. So
because you've just given up the idea that it'll be.
Yes. That is a descriptive, I think, that accurately reflects the general expectation.
What is to be done
in America? What is to be done?
Yeah.
And it is dystopian, right? It is dystopian. Sci-fi.
You love that word.
Dystopian. I do. It's also, again, accurate in its description. The thing I think about, though, is that content is not just a product, it is our culture. The reason we care about this stuff and movies matter and television shows matter, even as everything's fragmented, is because that is actually how we express our culture. And so the question I have is not merely, is this a good business deal? Will it get approved? It's, what does this do if you're a customer, meaning a consumer, meaning an American? Is your life as a person ingesting culture better or worse? And this is going to make it worse. Netflix owning Warner Brothers, Netflix owning HBO, even if it's not the same HBO, it is still a place that prides itself on what used to be called prestige programming, what just feels like to me as good art. I don't want fewer competitors in the world of making art. I want more. And we're living in an artless time ruled by a guy who is obviously the least artful in terms of culture.
Excuse me. He's making sure Rush Hour 4 gets made. So
you know what?
I don't.
I do love Rush Hour.
I don't agree. I got to say.
You think this is better for consumers of media, this deal?
When I sit there and I scroll my science videos on Facebook.
Oh, my God.
I think it's a great world.
I think Steve, you know what? You just lost. Okay.
I don't want to win. I don't want to win that game. I want to win the game that I want to play. which is that I think there's a lot of amazing content out there, which is completely not controlled by Big Brother and Big Sister in a way, and is being created by small people in a very kind of artful way.
But hold on, Allie's turn.
Everybody hates me now.
No, but it's the question of what do they have to potentially give up, not make because they don't want to actually make a deal like this go through, and why are we looking at cultural institutions, right? Because Netflix has become that.
I don't have to watch Netflix. I don't have to watch Stranger Things.
But I think it extends beyond that, and you should definitely be watching Stranger Things, if not just for the bit at this point.
We're living in an absolute golden age of content.
No, but I think that it's more than that, because if you extend it beyond just what this specific merger would give you in terms of what you put on at the end of the day, you look towards the way that the administration is leveraging its power over law firms, over educational institutions, and I think it's all based in what are people allowed to do that the larger government says they can or can't. I think it's all
I think you're right, but we have to figure out how to pay for all of it. If you look at what's happened over the last 20 or 30 years, the companies that have been the content distributors, their market cap looks like this, and the content creators' market cap looks like that. We haven't figured out how to pay for it. I think all of these things are wonderful aspirations, but the bottom line becomes the bottom line.
But see, Pablo's point, though, is that this consolidation, as we're seeing more and more of these resources being pushed into these corporations, okay, maybe this won't affect the science videos. I mean, and we are living in this age. I mean, I actually do think we're living in a golden age.
Depending on what videos that Steve is generally describing as science videos.
But there was once an understanding that you had the consolidation of power, the consolidation of wealth, the consolidation was not good for competition, was not good for creativity.
That's the word, is competition. I want more competition.
Right.
And that's why a whole group. No, there's a whole group of sort of Hollywood A-listers who are pushing, lobbying Congress against this deal, saying they need the competition. Otherwise, one house is going to control the whole party, and that's bad for their industry.
I strive to resemble the competition that you are saying already exists. Independent, not beholden by... But all that stuff is great.
So is Charlie.
And that is also true.
But don't you understand some of these assets may be worthless?
That's fine. That's fine.
They're kicking them off. They're spinning them off because they don't know what the value is. They don't want to bring... She's looking at me.
But are they going to suck all of the oxygen?
I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. What's the value?
1,000 flowers.
Where do we find it? Stephanie's looking at me like I
I'm quoting Mao.
I'm not. Listen, I'm waiting for the commercial break. We're going to get out a laptop. We're going to bring you a bowl of rice pudding. We're going to play some penguin videos. I think we got an eclipse.
Astronomy videos. The ones about fossils I like.
Perfect. All right, last word to you. You love fishing. We're going to get some fishing videos for you.
Jerry Garcia, Grateful Dead videos. I watch them all the time.
Okay, last word to you.
I don't have to turn the TV on.
I think the question of what it's like when we are all ruled by a singular tech company is not great for the making of art, because that is a model and that is an algorithm. And I am going to, when I get old, I'm going to think about what it was like when I got to watch stuff made by humans. And I don't want to raise my daughter in a world where the Borg is telling her, here's what your endless infinite scroll of stuff is. And there's some stuff in there, but otherwise we're not paying for it.
Yeah, it's the movie WALL-E, and I don't want to live in it.
Let's come back and talk together when Amazon buys Netflix.